Cassandra, there was a riot last night, apparently.
Yeah.
Like, you come downstairs, it's quite early in the morning, and, what's Cassandra's morning routine? What does she do? Describe Cassandra's morning routine.
So she's used to waking up early, remnants of being part of the military, and usually, except now, she has mornings to do whatever she wants, which is usually reading or meditating and then reading, and she's been reading a lot of books about names for no reason at all
no
lately.
Important reason.
It's just not related to anything. Yeah, she's just like, name ancient Tevinter names, which is very interesting thing to do in the morning.
And the Tevinter stole a lot from Elven culture, so if you could find like a middle ground between that, I know it's not relevant to anything. It's just a thought.
Yeah, it's not really. Yeah. She's just like, reading, or like I mentioned briefly before, she does really like flowers. So if there's any sort of growing thing, she likes being around them and just taking it all in the morning.
The Pavis Estate Garden is very nice.
Yeah, so she likes being out there in the morning, just sort of like taking a deep breath of morning air.
And as soon as you step outside for your morning, I guess constitution, we can call it, like a quick constitution walk around the garden of the Pavis Estate. The Pavis Estate Garden is quite small. It's lovely, but it's very small. So it's like a couple laps around the garden, just smelling flowers and whatnot. And as like the night goes on, like there's like a column of like a smoke like rising over the garden wall. Like it seems pretty far away, but it's that's weird.
Yeah. Definitely very weird, and definitely like ruins the zen of the morning. Like, oh no.
And then as you are like taking that in from the front door, you hear
that definitely like snaps her to attention, and you
are the only one awake and home.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, I guess I have to answer that. And braces herself for like the screaming of, oh my god, what is that? Answering the door.
You open the door, and standing in front of you is all 7.5 foot of Arishok, flanked by 2 Beresad. He stares down at you and he says, "Are you aware that there's a riot going on the other side of the city?"
What are you doing here, and what?
We are leaving for Par Vollen today. Which is true. Like, you kind of forgotten, but like the fire. But yeah, that's true. You're leaving for Par Vollen later today.
Yeah. She's like, I came to pick you up. You're like, but there's fire. Did you see? Yeah. She just kind of like flounders around like, riot? What?
Yes. It appears to be quite violent.
I wonder if Elian said anything about leaving.
It's somehow like her knee-jerk instincts like, Elian, god damn it. That's where we should again.
I'm just wondering, like, if Elian's like, oh, I'm gonna go on I just go, it's a date thing. She's like, oh, that's cute. Okay, bye. Wait a minute.
Hang on a fucking second.
Yeah, I feel like no, she doesn't make that connection though. She's just like, oh, well, obviously, like, both her quote-unquote brothers are gone, so she's like, well, I'm sure Dorian can handle it. He's a magister, I think. That's what I don't really know what a magister does. I should ask May.
He says, I should come in. We need to discuss the trip to Par Vollen.
Oh, yes, of course. And she definitely opens the door and feels very awkward about the Beresad, but let's Shock in.
Like, in theory, the Beresad answered to the Arishok, and the Arishok has explicitly said that you are not in danger from him. So, theoretically, it should be fine, right? Like, right, it's fine.
She still feels very nervous about letting them pass. It's like, all right, everybody, come on in.
And Mayveris is just coming down the steps. She doesn't wake up as early as usual. Apparently, Faith was not an early riser, whereas Mayveris very much was. And it's sort of just evened out to waking up at like a normal time, like 8 a.m., 9 a.m. She comes gliding down the stairs and like almost like it's hard not to run into him because he just takes up so much space. She like knocks it like, oh my goodness. Oh, good morning, Arishok. The Arishok looks down at her and he says, good morning, Magister. It's like, don't you look this morning?
Don't you look just so big, so much space?
He says, where is everyone? We need to discuss the trip to Par Vollen. She says, oh, that is today, isn't it? Yes, we have been packing. Elian and Leander went out last night. They're not home. That's a little unusual. Maybe they just went up to bed. They probably just went up to bed.
They have been loud recently.
That's true.
Maybe It was another round.
I think we would know if it was... Oh, never mind. She says, oh, please, Arishok, sit down. And the Arishok sits down at the table, like the big, long dining table that you reserve for meetings of the Lucerni. He is out of place.
Yeah, I was like, I love that image of him, like, sitting down this tiny-ass chair.
He is way too big. Like, even, like, Iron Bull had become kind of a staple, and he's a big dude, too. But, like, because he's so Qunari. Like, at least Iron Bull dresses like a regular mercenary. This guy is dressed like the Arishok. Right as this is happening, Sabre, you and Lennon, you did not get any sleep last night because you stayed up all night fucking doing Valisline.
Right?
And probably other stuff too, but you know.
Yeah, probably other stuff.
Probably other stuff. You come up through, you both kind of look like shit, but Lennon's got, hey Cassandra, Lennon's got some stuff. He's got some new stuff on him.
When I look up and see them, like, you know, I feel like she glances at them and then looks back at the Arishok and then has to, like, double take, like, Lennon, what?
Good morning. He sits down.
You have a hand.
He says, oh, the Arishok is here. Hi? The Arishok stares at him impassively.
Right.
Lennon is going to pretend that it's like, he's just going to pretend like it's a normal day. Like he's not covered in Valisline again. He's just going to act like it's fine.
Right.
I'm looking at Lennon like, who is this?
You know who the Arishok is. You've met him before. Remember, he's a friend of Ren's.
Oh, that one.
My father. You remember, right?
Yes.
Yario.
Yes.
Okay.
It's all coming back to me now. It's been a long night.
Yeah, I'm definitely, like, looking at the Valisline like, apparently.
He says, oh, I forgot. Yeah, we're leaving for Par Vollen today, huh? He says, yes, we are. And then Dorian kind of staggers in through the front door. Elian and Leander into. Leander looks kind of like bullshit. He's at least walking now.
That's good.
But he immediately, like, he doesn't even talk to anyone. He just goes straight up the stairs into bed. Dorian watches him leave and then looks at the rest of you and he says, so we have kind of a good news, bad news situation?
Yeah, what is happening? What? Riot?
He says, yeah, how'd you know?
Yeah.
Everything's on fire, Dorian. It's hard not to know.
Right. That was, so here's part of the good news. The fire was Magister Ronin's estate. And Mayfair's like, oh, that's good.
And the bad news?
The bad news is, there is a slave riot happening.
Yeah.
The Arishok says, I see. And that's about all you get out of him. Like, oh, well, now I have the explanation. I suppose that makes sense.
Right.
And Mayfair says, excuse me, what?
It wasn't intentional.
It was just the rest of the slaves saw Leander when he killed Ronin. Oh, he killed Ronin. I probably should have opened with that. Leander killed...
I, like, slowly turned to Leander, or Elian, like,
Technically, didn't they start the fire before he killed Ronin?
Yeah, it was shortly after Leander forced him to free all his slaves, and it got worse from there.
Yeah.
He says, the good news is that we have alerted the Dalish. They're camped in Respite, not far from Respite, and they're doing the best they can to talk everyone down. It's not going great. Like I said, it is a riot. We've been putting out fires, literal and figurative, for most of the night. I didn't get a lick of sleep. And he kind of sits down.
Yeah, Elian is torn between, like, fleeing up the stairs after Leander and also apparently this urgent meeting, because, oh crap, that's today.
You forgot about that. Like, you got kind of caught up with the whole, armed rebellion thing. But yeah, there's a, the Arishok is here, and you are leaving for Par Vollen. Like, you remember that now.
I just sort of, like, raise an eyebrow at Elian, like, and give him a, we will have words later look.
He says, I mean, the good news is that, now we have a small army, and we have some resources on our side now, which is good, and the Dalish are working very hard, and we are very appreciative of all their efforts trying to get everyone to respite and away from the armed insurrection. But we are, it's fine. We're working on it. Trust me, there's nothing productive left to do.
feel like Ellie just pours himself a cup of tea and sits down.
Dorian says, "Oh, by the way, hello, Arishok." Arishok says, "Good morning."
Cass just like looks at Dorian, and Elliot is like, "Are the both of you okay?"
Oh, physically, yes. We're physically fine. There might be, and as he's speaking, the front door flies open, and like 3 Dalish elves, like herding a school of children, come bursting in and take them downstairs into the secret underground slave bunker. He says, "Oh yeah, we're physically fine. I wouldn't worry." But like he doesn't address it at all. Like it just sort of happens behind him. I wouldn't worry about it. It's fine.
If it's all fine, I suppose we should get down to business then.
Yeah, we should.
She's just like looking, like watching them all like fly through like the estate. Like, okay, no one's gonna. All right,
like no one's gonna address it.
They just come in and leave, and all right, sure, fine.
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. "I'm glad that you made it here, Arishok," Dorian says. "Yeah, I hope you didn't have any trouble getting through the city." The Arishok says, "No, most of the attention was on the riot." He says, "Yeah, that would..." Yeah. Mayberry says, "We should probably talk about... when does the boat leave for Par Vollen, Arishok?" And he says, "In a few hours. As you may or may not know, it is extremely difficult for outsiders to come to Par Vollen. And I have gotten some provisional clearance from the rest of the Triumvirate. However, they will not allow me to take more than 5 outsiders." And he looks to you, Cassandra, and he says, "You qualify now as an outsider." Which means that you can take 2 non-player characters with you and discuss, out of character or in character, whichever you prefer, of which 2 characters you want to take with you to Par Vollen.
Yeah. Who we want to all bring, gang?
Who do you want to bring to Par Vollen? You got to think about this strategically, and you also have to consider the fact that there's a riot going on right now. So you need to leave someone behind to like handle that, preferably someone with some like Mayveris or Dorian would probably both be qualified to handle it, but one of them should probably, at least one of them should probably stay behind.
For selfish and personal reasons, obviously May. I want to bring May. Dorian can stay behind. It's fine. He needs to take a nap.
He was directly involved in the riot starting, so I feel like he should have to deal with the consequences.
Right. So bye, Dorian. Have a nice time dealing with that. We're going to go to another place, and you get to deal with your political falling out. So that's fun. Who else?
So we're going into Par Vollen. What are we going to encounter, do we think?
I mean, ideally, this is a diplomatic mission. In practice...
But remember, we're going into Qunari territory.
Yeah.
With literally a Talvashoth, with literally a Sarabas who escaped the Qun. So while in theory, it's just a diplomatic mission, and you shouldn't need to think about it strategically, realistically, you're probably going to have to fight someone.
I want to bring... like, for warrior purposes, though, like, I would like to suggest Fenris, because that just sounds cool as fuck. Also, he has experience being in Sahara and all that good
He also
stuff.
speaks Qunlot, which is good.
Exactly. Also,
That's
he speaks Qunlot, which is why I was like, that's also very helpful.
That's
Other
good
people
call.
that might be a good call, Ren might be a good call.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, but there's also Ren, yeah.
He personally knows the Arishok. He's declared Basilite on. I guess Hawk was also declared Basilite on by an Arishok.
Oh, that's true. But he killed that Arishok.
Well,
so
I mean, it was in fair combat, so no one's going to hold it against him.
Yeah, that's true. He was.
Although he is a mage, so maybe.
I know. It's like, hey, we brought this human mage. Hope that's fine.
Oh, so mages are tough. Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
Mages, they would be considered Baz Sarabaz. Sarabaz literally means dangerous thing, and they're considered dangerous, but as long as they have a handler in Arvarad, they're considered, like, controllable. A Baz Sarabaz, who has never had an Arvarad, is considered extremely dangerous in Qunari.
So that can cause problems for us.
And that includes Mayveris. Mayveris is considered Baz Sarabaz under the Qun.
Oh, that's true.
Oh.
That's right. I forgot about that shit.
You're going to have to really think about whether or not you want to bring a mage with you.
Yeah, that's my question.
They're very handy, but they are considered extremely dangerous.
Yeah, so I think definitely Fenris on that account, because he's not a mage, but he's also got the cultural know-how.
Do we have any rogues now that Leander's a mage?
You have Zevran.
Zevran.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right.
So we can bring Ren and Zevran.
Also knows. Mm-hmm. That's a good idea, yeah, because they also know. the Arashok.
That seems like a good starting party.
I guess technically Ren is a rogue, but like, so how this is sort of a peek behind the kimono. Once, because Leander's class is basically changed from a rogue to a mage, when you appoint the new Archon next time, no spoilers, but when you recruit the Magisterium, you're going to appoint a new Archon as well. Whoever gets appointed Archon is going to be basically replaced by Ren. So you're going to have a balanced selection to choose from again.
Mm-hmm.
And you will also no longer be able to use the new Archon.
Right. For obvious
they'll
reasons.
be a
They
little
are
busy.
now
They'll be busy. So you'll still have 2 mages, 2 rogues, 2 warriors to choose from.
Yeah, so that's actually a good idea because both Ren and Zevran know him, know the Arashok, and also Rogi. I mean, Zevran sucks at opening things, but we don't need him to unlock anything, so it's fine. Just throw your knives.
So sounds like the 3 choices are Fenris, Ren, and Zevran. Are you definitely want to bring Ren and Zevran, or do you want to talk about it a little more?
So Ren's technically a rogue, so if we brought Zevran, then we get 2 rogues. Although he's also OP, so I don't know if it...
I think actually Fenris would be good then, yeah, because I forgot that...
I guess as from a character choice, I'm fine with Zevran not being there as long as I watch Ren at all times.
Yeah,
right.
pretty much.
But I will insist upon that.
Ren and Fenris would be a good idea then.
Ren and Fenris?
Yeah.
Okay. At least then you'll have a tank. Well, I guess Yariel could technically be... I guess he could be a tank.
I'm the tank.
We have no evidence that Yariel has ever tanked anything in his life.
Right.
I do have a lot of HP.
Well, so does Fenris.
Fair enough.
Okay. So you talk about it for a little while, and then you settle, okay, I guess Ren and Fenris, because, Ren, obviously he knows the Arashok, and he's been declared Basilean on, and Fenris, because he speaks Qunandar, and that's more than you can say for pretty much everyone else.
Right, exactly. I'm like, that's already pretty good.
That's
so yes.
really good. He knows a lot about the culture from his time on Saharon. Okay. And it doesn't it take any convincing for the Arashok. He just says, very well. And he says, we'll be leaving in a few hours. Before we go, I suppose I should prepare you for what you're going to have to deal with in Par Vollen. He says, the Triumvirate is in something of a state of turmoil right now. He says, the Aragena and I we are more and more confronted with the fact that the Arakyun is no longer, and he pauses for a long time and tries to hunt for the right word, stable. Recently, she has made some extremely questionable decisions, one of which almost got us involved in a war with Orlais. She is not a fan of the fact that I have inserted myself into your life, Cassandra, and she is aware that I have inserted myself into your life.
Ooh, that definitely, Cass does a sharp inhale and, oh, she does.
I mean, she is the Arakyun. She runs the Ben Hasrath, so...
Right, so of course she's gotta know, but it's like, hey, hearing it from him, great.
She has expressed her discontent that I refused to hand you over to the Ben Hasrath before. And she is extremely against the idea of... You understand, I did send back letters to be read by the Aragena and the Arakyun. About what I was doing in Tevinter, she was against the idea of even going to Tevinter for these peace talks. She is very against the idea of assisting with a blight. She is going to be a wild card. She is going to be difficult to deal with.
Yes, I figured she would be.
I don't know what your plan is, but I can say for certain that nothing you say is going to peacefully convince her to come to your way of thinking.
I didn't expect anything peaceful.
Dorian says, well, what are we going to do? Just kill her? We can't we do that? He looks at Mayveris and then he leans over to Mayveris. Can we just kill her? Is that something we can do? Mayveris says, I don't know. I mean, it seems underhanded. She looks at the Arashok sort of trying to measure his reaction, and he doesn't have a reaction to it.
I was like, nice try. He doesn't have reactions.
He says, if we did kill her, I suppose we could theoretically replace her, right? The Arishok, like, Dorian, like, suggests, like, can we kill her? Like, is that a thing that we can do? And he's, like, looking very nervously at the Arishok, and the Arishok just deadpan says it would be extremely difficult, generally ill-advised, and even if you did, the Arakyun would be... She is replaced by appointment agreed upon by the other 2 members of the Triumvirate. So whoever you chose would have to be agreed upon by the Aragena, who, while she is more reasonable than the Arakyun, though that's not a very high bar, it would still be a challenge if you had someone specific in mind. Mayvera says, we don't know anything about Qunari politics. We don't really know who a good candidate would be.
Cass just looks like, or is trying to at least, like, looks like the epitome of calm and just sort of glances at Feyveris now, I guess, and is like, you don't know anything about the Qunandar.
Well, that's because I've never lived under it. Do you know someone who might be a good candidate to replace her?
Perhaps.
She says, well, I'm all ears.
Do you remember when I told you about what I saw in the Fade?
A little bit. Sorry, accessing memories is a little weird now, but yes, I think so.
Ah, like, that sort of, like, jolts, like, oh, yes, of course, now that your memories emerged, like, duh.
Yeah.
The one where I was the one who replaced her.
I don't remember you telling me that part. Are you suggesting that you would replace the Arakyun? The Arishok looks a little stricken by the idea.
I feel like Elian's kind of staring at you a little numb because, like, a lot happened last night, but also what?
You didn't get any sleep. You're like, am I fucking tripping? Like, am I stoned? What's happening?
I feel like subtly under the table he pinches himself to see if he's actually awake.
The Arishok is the first to speak. He says, a mage as Arakyun? No one would accept that.
It's possible. It's highly possible that they wouldn't, but if the letter I received is true, there may be people more willing to listen.
What letter? You have not told the Arishok about the letter. And
which is why
think about it. Before you tell the Arishok about a possible plot to overthrow the Qun.
Right.
If you get him involved, that's like a pretty big, like, he may not have deniability anymore.
Right, exactly.
So he asks, what letter? What do you say?
I received a coded message.
From who?
She just says, from the ones hunting me, presumably.
I beg your pardon.
It's not important now.
You received a coded message from the people hunting you and you think it is not important? You brought this up, Cassandra. What are you talking about?
Though I no longer use that name. Cerebos, it is still dangerous for you to be involved with things that pertain to me.
I am your father.
And you are the Arishok as well.
If I had no interest in inserting myself into your life, I would not have tracked you down in the first place.
Am I not allowed to be worried about you?
I am the Arishok. I can take care of myself. You are an ex-Cerebos, a Talvashoth who could be hunted. I can help you. I think everyone else in the room is shocked that the Arishok is capable of this emotional range.
Right? Like, whoa. Yeah, definitely. Like, that reaction also throws Cass off. Like, hey, used to it with the others, but with other Qunari, like, wait, what? It does, yeah, definitely startle Cass, but she also says, I know that perhaps before I might have believed you, but now I have support. I have friends. You can help me, yes, but I have... And then, like, she looks at May, and all of her brothers, and, like, I have support. I can do things now. If I want your help, I will ask for it, I promise. But for now, I can't say any more.
I do not like this, Cassandra.
I know. I don't like the idea of going back either, but it is necessary. It must be done.
He leans back a little bit. He is processing everything. Like, apparently his daughter, who he cares about, like, he went out of his way to find her, is refusing to tell him about some ominous letter from someone who she thinks is hunting her. And he is silent for like a really, really long time. And eventually he stands up, the chair scrapes loudly across the hardwood floor, and he says, "The boat leaves in an hour and a half. I will meet you at the docks." And he turns out and leaves with precision, his 2 Barasad flanking him. May says, I didn't think it was possible, but I think you hurt his feelings.
Cass just like, okay, I was holding my breath that whole time. Wow.
Dorian says, Cassandra, Dorian leans over to you. He says, were you serious? You want to replace the Archean?
It has been on my mind since the things I saw in the Fade. They are not real, I know, but it was a possible future for me to consider, and it's all I've been able to think about.
Lannon sort of, apropos nothing, says, I think it's a great idea. And Dorian, like, rounds on Lannon and is like, I just got this new friend, and now you were telling her to put herself in danger? And before Dorian can, like, yell at him, Lannon, like, holds up 2 hands pacifiably. He says, think about it. Like, yeah, it would be a hard sell, but you know what also was a hard sell? Liliana dissolving the Circle of Magi. It can happen. Big change can happen. If these past couple years have taught me anything, it's that sometimes if you just take the leap, people will just go with it. And Minrathous says, I mean, it would be amazing to have 2/3 of the Triumvirate on our side. We could establish real peace between Tevinter and Qunandar. We could change the Qun from within.
Cass definitely stares adoringly at May for that. And then turns back to Dorian and is like, that's what I want. Change. I left because it was intolerable, but it can be changed.
He says, oh, you remind me so much of Lannon. Lannon's like, hey.
I don't like that tone.
Why doesn't it sound like a compliment?
You all pack up your shit.
Goody.
Most of you are extremely tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elian, you are fucking exhausted. You've been dealing with a riot most of the night.
Oh, man.
Lannon and Sabre, you were up doing tattoo work and other stuff, probably. The only ones who look rested are Cassandra and Ren and Fenris. And when you all meet at the port of Minrathous, which is this huge, sprawling, it's gotta be like, you can stand at one end and can't see the other end. Like, there's just so many boats constantly going in and out. Most of them are like huge, like multi-sail frigates. But there is one, like, you're wondering, like, which dock is the one that'll take me to Par Vollen? It's the one with the giant Qunari symbol emblazoned on the sail. Like, it's that one. Like, it's really hard to miss. But you all meet at the end of the dock, and the Arishok is there. Ren and Fenris and Zevran is there to see off Ren. And you all meet, and as the player characters approach, Ren eyes you, Elian, and then you, Yariel, and he's like, you do look like shit.
Long story.
Thanks, bro. You always know just what to say.
He says, and I noticed that your boyfriend's got some new ink work done, huh?
Yeah.
You want to talk about that, or,
We found a really cool tattooer. We're like, yeah, you know, why not? Let's just do it.
At 3 a.m.
At 3 a.m. in Kirkwall.
Just out wandering the
We
streets.
just happened to be able to do Valisline really well. It's a weird coincidence.
I'm just like deadpan staring him in the eye, like, ask stupid questions, get stupid answers.
Oh, brothers.
So Zevran, before the Arishok arrives in with no particular fanfare, it's just with his flank of Barasad and everything, Zevran hugs Ren and he says, be careful. And Lannon hugs you, Sabre, and he says, I would go with you, but I'm not going anywhere near Par Vollen.
That's fair. Plus, you still have to get used to your new arm.
No, it's mostly the mage thing.
Okay,
I don't
fine.
I'm not going to go to Par Vollen. It's nothing personal.
I might really like this. I tease him. No mages.
It's like, seriously? Really?
I smile and I'm like, okay, I'm past that.
If you never wanted to have sex again, you could just ask me. You don't have to go
so there's no
round
reason
about
to
it.
jump nuclear right now, is there? Calm down. Please be safe.
He says, I'm not the one going to Par Vollen.
Well, there's still a rebellion, so
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm an elf too, so that'll probably be okay there. Although I guess not if I get mistaken for a riot. You know what? I'll just stay inside.
yeah, just maybe be careful.
Zevran and Ren are also quietly talking. Leander actually arrived to show you off as well. He looks pretty tired. He stands close to you, as everyone else is talking. He says, "So, Par Vollen, huh?"
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of with Landon. I'm not going anywhere fucking near that place. I just got my magic back. I'm not. No.
Absolutely not.
He says, "You'll be careful."
Obviously. You will too?
I'll do my best to try to end the riot peacefully. It has still been going on. It's been several hours now, and it's changed, but it's still going full steam.
Just don't do anything stupid, please.
I already did the stupid thing.
I know, but
He says, "Well, same goes for you. Don't get any funny ideas about converting." Cass, Mayveris has, of course, arrived to see you off as well. She says, "Oh, I wish I could go with you."
I've already dragged you through the deep roads, and obviously, mages and Kunari don't exactly mix.
Well, I fear for you going then. I mean, I know you were a Sarabas, but just be careful, okay?
Cass takes her hands and is like, I love you.
Arlaf Mavinan. And so you all head up and off onto the boat. The Arashok is already waiting there, and those staying behind sort of wave you off. And it doesn't take long. The ship was waiting for the Arashok's word, of course. The Arashok is the one who says where they stay, when they go, and when they stay. So they set off in short order. And the boat is operated with precision, but it is a long journey on the voyage. You've crossed the Waking Sea a couple times by now, but the Waking Sea is like a half day, 3/4 day long trip, 18 hours if it's particularly rough. Going from Minrathous to the Qunandar, the capital Qunandar, is probably the better part of a week on the sea.
Mm.
How are you guys doing?
I think we established that Elian was kind of marginal on the water. It's one of those things that you do get better with time, but
this is the first substantial trip over water.
Probably not great.
This is I have nothing to fear at the end of this, so I'm doing excellent.
Wow. Love that.
I'm not a mage.
I wonder what this is like at the end. Sounds cool. I wonder what...
I have no skin in this game.
Except your sister.
Yeah. And then suddenly you get pushed overboard and drowned. It's very tragic.
Yariel has died in a tragic ship accident.
I'm Cassandra, I'm really excited about seeing your hometown. This is going to be so cool.
Oh my god. You're such an idiot.
I just deadpan. Yes. So cool.
What? You don't miss it at all?
Let me think. Do I miss a place that treated me like a thing and sewed my mouth shut for asking questions? No, Yariel.
They sewed your mouth. Oh, that's what Landon meant.
You're such an idiot.
Oh, that's why he was so upset. Now I understand.
You're such an idiot.
So Cassandra,
Mm.
it's day 3 on the ocean. First of all, how are you doing with such an extended sea voyage?
The last time I was on a boat like this, it was, when I fled.
Yeah, and you fled Saharan.
Yep. It's not a great feeling. It's watching Elian be physically sick. I feel like Cass really wishes that she could throw up, but she's it's the emotional,
It's the emotional vomit that you fear. Not
Yeah, exactly. Like, wow, really wish I could, like, physically do that, but mostly it's just internal screaming.
So where do you spend most of your time? Like, there's a substantial below deck. It's all this ship is a Qunari ship. Like, definitely capital Q Qunari ship. It is run with precision. It is run by members of the Antam. And it might feel a little strange, although I'll take my cue from you, being immersed in something so decidedly Qunari again. Like, no chaos, no joviality, everything done very accurately with great precision, but with no real joy to it.
Right. Yeah, that is definitely not something that she's used to anymore after everybody like that she's been around is so, except for Leander when he was tranquil, but like everyone else was like emotional with a capital E, so she's like, oh yeah, I forgot.
This is what it's like here.
That's right. Yay.
So I picture this occurring on the deck of the ship, but I suppose it could occur anywhere.
Yeah, that's fine.
The Arishok coming up behind you and leaning on the railing next to you with both hands pressed into the wood. He says, "Are you nervous?"
That's one of the things I'm feeling, yes.
He says, "I will, Cassandra, I promise I will do everything in my power to keep you away from the Ben Hasrath and the re-educators. But I do want to prepare you for the reality that even my protection may not be enough. Like I said, the Arakian is unhinged, and I'm not sure what she's willing to do to get you back now that she knows I have an investment in you."
I do know that you want to help, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful that you sought me out, and I do know how dangerous the cell is. I've been warned several times by several people.
And you're not going to tell me about this letter.
I feel like this is the first time that she actually really looks like a child, like just confused, like deer in the headlights. Just kind of looks up at him and is like, I'm afraid.
I am afraid as well.
I'm afraid that if I tell you, it will make everything worse. More worse than it could be.
He says, "It's strange. I went through quite a lot to find you again, to track you down, and I had to repeat the process when you became Sarabas and much of your records were erased. I did it because I felt some obligation, some instinct that I couldn't explain away no matter how many times I prayed the cantos." He says, "I still feel that instinct, but now it's changed as well." He says, "I care about you, Cassandra, more than I ever thought I would. I do not care for my safety if it means I can protect you. Perhaps that is dangerous. I know that is not the way of the Qun, but it is nevertheless true."
Oof. All right. Ouch. Well, obviously, the first thing is like a Qunari saying, "I care about you," like absolutely flooring. The Arishok saying that to Cass, she's just like, it's staggering, and she has to grip the side of the boat to like keep from, I don't know, falling down. She feels like she should be falling. Like, what?
He says, "It has developed." He says, "Before it was just an instinct, perhaps a paternal instinct. But now that I know you, now that I've seen the woman that you've grown to be, I am impressed. I am amazed. And I would do anything, include risk my life to protect you. Do not doubt that for a moment."
That is why I'm afraid to tell you. I don't want anything worse to happen. But at the same time, I've remembered things. Things have come back about your visits. I remember them. I remember you now. And again, reaching for the necklace that isn't there, like the tooth, like.
He notices, but he doesn't say anything about it.
I called you Atashi then because, to me, the tiny me, who didn't know yet, what she was capable of. You are strong and untouchable, it felt like. And now that I'm older, the knowledge that you aren't is a little distressing.
He actually kind of chuckles under his breath. He says, I might be strong, but I guarantee you, I am not untouchable. Not anymore. Not since you came.
Yeah, Cass just, like, looks up at him and is like, okay. And then she hugs him.
He looks a little startled by the hug, but he does hug you back. It's a little awkward. Hugs aren't really a thing in the Qun. Like, obviously, there are friendships in the Qun, right? Like, it's inevitable. Like, no matter what the Qunari say, they are still people. And they form friendships. They give each other nicknames a lot of the time. But the Arishok is supposed to be, like, the shining example of the Qun, who's supposed to hold no one above anyone else. He is meant to serve all the Antam and all the body of the Qunari. For him to have a favorite is pretty big. That's a big deal. But he hugs you back. And maybe just a little too tight. Maybe he hugs you a little bit too tight.
And that definitely reminds Cass of, like, when she gets too excited with other non-Qunari people, like, oh yeah, that's right. We're stronger than we think. It's like, ow.
He says, I'm sorry. And then he releases you. He says, if you think it's wiser not to tell me, I understand. But just know that if you need my help, I will do what you ask without question.
Oh. Yeah, Cass just definitely looks up at him and it's like, thank you.
Sabre.
Yes.
How are you dealing physically with a long sea voyage? Good, bad, yes, no?
I said before. I mean, he's not really used to boats, but we've been on a lot of boats at this point.
You have, yeah.
So I feel like...
And the Dalish are adaptable. Like, they can get used to pretty much anything.
Yeah, I feel like I'm doing better. I feel like I'm not that bad as I used to be. And I'm, like, lording it over Elian.
Oh, he hates you.
Oh, wow. Love it.
So you have taken to tormenting Elian, and after he locks you out of his bedroom one afternoon, you go to the mess hall, you have a seat. Ren sits down next to you.
I, like, sort of grunt.
How's it going?
You know, it's going.
He says, listen, you know how I'm not good at emotions? Like, at all?
Yeah, it's a family trait.
Yeah, I think it runs through our mother. Anywho, after you, left Meryl's house, like after you stormed out, listen.
We don't have to talk about this. We don't have to.
No, listen, we do. Okay, I'll try to keep it brief because I also hate this.
You know, there aren't any bandits, but we could probably find someone. That sailor looks very suspicious.
Yariel, she re-enchanted the dagger, and she wanted me to offer it back to you, if you wanted it.
I look at him very warily.
He reaches into his boot where he'd been storing it. It looks the same, but there is a small rune etched onto the blade now.
Why would she?
She says she wanted it to transform. And the enchantment is different now. She said, wherever this blade leaves a mark, it will always leave a scar, no matter how well it's healed. I thought it was a sort of strange enchantment, but I've thought about it for a while now, and I guess it makes sense.
I'm sort of eyeing it like it's a snake. I suppose that's appropriate, given the circumstances. Still don't really know what that means.
I think it's probably just a reflection of her guilt. You know, she knows what she did will never heal. Some cuts don't ever really go away. They always leave scars, and I don't know. It sounded like a peace offering. I don't expect you to forgive her. I don't even know if you can forgive her. I don't think I can, really, and I definitely can't forget it, but like I said, she is also Clan Sabre. We're the only 3 left. I don't know. If you want it, you can. And he offers it to you, pommel out.
I look at it. I look at him. You haven't forgiven her either?
I can understand why it happened. I can understand that it was a tragic mistake. The clan is still dead. I don't feel obligated to forgive her. I didn't set out wanting to forgive her. I just wanted answers, and now I have them. And the answer is that it sucks. It was a shitty situation that probably could have been avoided, but it's too late to fix it now. So, I don't know.
I reach out and I think I take it by the hilt. At the very least, I suppose I should have something that reminds me of the choices I made, of the decisions and the impacts that they have.
We are our mistakes. Let's both be thankful that our mistakes were never as severe as Meryl's. So, Par Vollen. Let's approach it this way. When Cassandra, you've been to Par Vollen, you grew up in Par Vollen, but Elian and Sabre, you've only heard of Par Vollen. Like, there doesn't even exist in Thedas anywhere a map of Par Vollen. No one even knows what it looks like. It is extremely hard for outsiders to get into Par Vollen, or Qunandar in general. So what are you expecting it to look like? Do you have an image in your head of what it should be or what it should look like?
I'm gonna give you mine because it's stupid. I think he just thinks it's gonna be very, like, military and everything's gonna be, like, pointy and utilitarian.
I mean, that's actually not a bad guess, honestly. Like, based on what you know about the Qunari, they're all about, like, function over form,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah, I was imagining it's all very, just, like, very military complex-esque.
what about you, Elian?
I don't know if he has any preconceived notions. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, let me rephrase. Anything that he has as a preconceived notion is extraordinarily racist.
Yeah, exactly.
Arlesians have been at war with the Qunari a couple times throughout history. The Arlesian legions of Chevaliers are really the only force on Thedas that have ever really stood up to the Qunari. Tevinter has tried it pretty much, like, it's basically been a stalemate for 300 years. Orlais was the only one really able to drive them back, so they have the racism, and then also with the superiority complex. But when you finally see land, what you see, it's actually kind of a splendid city, made mostly of stone. A huge wall surrounding the outside, mountains in the distance, and dotting up throughout are these massive, kind of breathtaking stone pyramids. This city is almost twice as big as Minrathous, just by sheer land volume. And the pyramids, you've never seen any building like those pyramids.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty fucking spectacular.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
Ren, who was standing out on the deck when someone called land, sees it rising up over the water and is like, fuck.
This is a lot different than what I expected.
Damn, Stan, you come from here? And he's like, I am no longer Sten. Yeah, okay, sure. But, like, you come from here? And he says, well, I was born in Saharan, but yes, I have lived most of my life in this city. It's like, damn!
How do you get those pyramids to be so high?
The Arashok says, the largest pyramid took over 200 years to complete.
Wow.
He says, the Qunari have their faults, but we are some of the best engineers in the world. He doesn't say that with, like, a trace of pride. It's just, like, it's a fact. Like, fight him about it. He's not wrong.
Yeah, no, I'm not fighting that.
It takes another hour or so for the ship to port. It is, like, it's, even from, like, 10 miles away, you can see the city. Because it's just that big. And it keeps getting, like, it shouldn't, how can anything be that tall? Is what you want to know. But it just keeps getting bigger the closer you get. And when you finally pull into port, it is a little before sundown. There's still a lot of sunlight. And the Arashok is the first off, and he is met with this huge retinue, which makes sense, right? Like, he is one of the 3 leaders of the Qunari. So there should be a big formal group to greet him and welcome him home. Heading up the pack are 2 female Qunari. One of them is elderly, sort of frail, with these knobbly hands folded near her chest. The other one is quite a bit younger. She has long dark hair and very severe dark blue eyes. She is dressed in this sort of interesting mishmash of like armor and almost like robes. Like she's got the crisscrossed leather breastplate over this flowing light, almost like cotton piece that reaches the ground. She is very beautiful and extremely scary. The elderly woman seems pleased-ish. The young, beautiful one does not. She is glaring at the Arishok the whole way down the gangplank. And the elderly Qunari says, "Welcome back, Arishok." And you can understand this, Cassandra. The others cannot. She's speaking Qunlot. Mm-hmm. And the Arishok inclines his head. He says, "Aragena, Arakian." She says, "How was your stay in Tevinter? Besides lengthy?" He says, "We made some good progress. I am hopeful that we can come to a peaceful resolution between the Qun and Tevinter." And the Arakian scoffs and looks away. The Arishok finally switches back to trade speak, and he says to all assembled, "These 5 Bas are my diplomatic guests," very loudly to like everyone assembled. And he says, "While they are here in Qunandar, they are under my protection." And he does a sweep of the crowd surrounding them, but then he stops and he like looks at the Arakian, like very deliberately. He says, "Any threat or attack made against them is a threat or attack made against me." And the Arakian says, "How convenient for them." He turns back to the rest of you and he says, "The palace is this way." And he starts off, he sort of like carves a path between them. And the whole way you walk down, the Arakian is staring at you. Everyone is staring at you, but the Arakian is especially staring at you. And actually, the Arakian is almost exclusively staring at you, Cassandra.
Yeah, I figured as much.
How are you feeling?
Feeling pretty not great. Kay is like, "Yeah, scary hot woman, woohoo!" Cass is like, "Nope, nope." She's like, immediately just like looks down.
And I don't think anyone else knows enough about the Qun to know that's a little bit troubling. Except for the Arishok. The Arishok puts a hand on your shoulder.
Ooh, ballsy.
And he looks at you, and then he lifts his own chin as if inviting you to mimic it. Like, keep your chin up. Like, literally keep your chin up.
I just sort of, Cass just sort of nods and then like lifts her gaze, but like keeps it level, like straight ahead.
And he keeps that hand on your shoulder all the way back. There is a large caravan that takes you through the city. And like, considering how strange and foreign the Qunari can feel in the rest of Thedas, the city, like the city of Qunandar, is like just a city. Like you pass through and there's all the city stuff. There's bakers, there's tailors, there's shops where you can buy candles and books and even stuff like flowers and like various decorations. They're not as like numerous as they would be in, for instance, Orlais, but they exist. There are people crossing in every direction on foot. Those that are not on foot do have camels. You have never seen a camel.
Yeah, no, I'm fascinated.
You've never seen a camel, Elian or Sabre. They're lumpy horses. Weird.
You're like, what the hell?
It looks like it has a tumor.
Ren's like, "I want one. Can I have one? Stan, can I have one?" And the Arishok is like, "No." He's like, "Damn it. I want a lumpy horse." They're called camels. "Sure.
We'll get you one. We can put it on the boat."
It's like 30 minutes, because again, this city is huge. It's
huge,
way bigger than you were expecting it to be. And you go through very precise, like all the streets are laid out in a grid style. Pretty much. There's some deviations, but it's mostly like a grid style city, like, Manhattan or something like that. And you come up to the base of this pyramid. The whole city, you've noticed, is extremely clean. Like really, really clean. The air smells really fresh. You haven't seen any like trash or like, I mean, in most major cities, like Orlais is pretty clean, but like even Orlais has like slums and shit. Where, you're likely to, like, step in a pile of horse manure or, like, just random piles of trash lying around. But you've seen none of that in Qunandar. It's very orderly. And you come up to the base of one of the larger pyramids, and there is a long set of very, very wide steps leading up to a huge archway. The Arishok turns to all assembled and glances at you appraisingly. He says, "Welcome to Par Vollen."
Hey friends, Tessa here. If you're desperate to hear the next episode, chances are good that you can by joining our Discord server. We post links to all episodes in pre-release, and you can even chat with us and listen live as we record. Join us by going to bit.ly/CFCDiscord. For more information on the show, character biographies, and links to social media, head to our website, critfail.club or critfailclub.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. Crit Fail Club does not advertise at all, so if you like what you hear, tell a friend who might also like it, make a post on social media about it, or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Full episodes are available on our YouTube channel, bit.ly/CFC channel, or wherever you get your podcasts.